This is Spare Parts, your show for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Stephen Cleary, Sean Cavarella, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Welcome to Spare Parts. I am your host, Sean.
I'm Steven.
And there's no Taylor this week. It is just the two of us. Someone had a work meeting, apparently.
We know she's watching The Bachelor right now. Or Bachelorette, whichever one.
I want to make a joke to be like, oh, you know which one. But, like, usually we would know which one. But we actually don't this time.
No clue.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which one it is. One of them. But, yeah. So, Steven, how are you?
Very, very toasty and tired after our first weekend back.
Oh, it was so nice, wasn't
a
it?
track. It was so nice. The weather was great after possibly going to have thunderstorms, which we got today instead. So Mother Nature helped us out.
Yeah, it went from looking like, oh shit, it's going to rain on Sunday, to, oh shit, I am burning very, very fast.
Yeah.
So
Is that why?
we
Is that
survived.
why you're covering up as much view as possible?
I am
Cover
going
the
to cover
burns.
up and try not to move. I mean, you can kind of see my
Very,
cheeks are
very
pretty red.
Yeah.
So,
Little toasty.
just a bit. But in terms of, I guess, racing news, before we get into actually talking about the IndyCar race this week and our thoughts on the whole return of the Honda Indy, which I think we have lots to say about that, we missed a large thing of news that happened literally like the next day after we recorded, and immediately made our last episode completely irrelevant.
As is tradition with every podcast on every sport ever.
Yeah, you know you're hitting around the right area when that happens to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the Alex Palou stuff, Steven, do you want to weigh into this first?
We still don't know where he's really going, right? Like, so it gets announced by Chip Ganassi Racing. Yes, Alex, we've exercised the option on his contract. We're very happy to have him back for 2023. Okay, that seems normal. No real surprise there. He's having success. He just won a championship there. Good for him. Not a surprise that Chip wants to retain him in their stable of drivers. A couple hours later, Alex Palou says, we agreed to no such thing. And they put a quote in there that I never said. So I'm actually going over with my buddy Zach to McLaren. And fuck you, Chip. I'll see you later. And now we're somewhere in between on where he's actually going.
Yeah, so we were talking about this the night it happened, because it was like, oh my god, what does this mean? And from the entire time we first were speculating everything, it was like, is he going to F1? Is he just going to McLaren? We don't know. Yada yada. Now that it seems like the lawyers are getting involved because two teams want this guy very badly, it's going to be a bidding war, I think. And if I was a betting man, I will bet Palou is on the grid in F1 next season or as a reserve driver.
So you think he's just done in IndyCar?
Yes and no. Okay, so like the reason
Break down your thinking, Ben.
Okay, the reason I think he's going to end up in F1, right? One, it was all the McLaren like F1 social stuff that started with the post about him joining like the McLaren team. When Rossi came over, it was the Aero McLaren SP that kind of was the one that that tweeted the stuff, right? Of like, welcome to the McLaren family, yada yada. This is big McLaren saying it. So it's not really a deal with like, Aero McLaren SP, like I guess Rossi's is, but this is a deal with McLaren as a whole, which they seem to be trying to cultivate some kind of driver lineup similar to Red Bull, but instead of having two F1 teams, they're going to have an F1 and IndyCar team, and they're going to decide where people go.
Yeah, they're just going to gather as much talent for next year as possible, and then whoever is the best goes to F1, then IndyCar, then Formula E, or wherever they all slot in.
And I think that is a great strategy because, just throw money at it and everyone has a hope to be at the top. And if not, you're still going to get a drive in a top series and not just immediately be kicked to the curb. So for drivers, it gives them security knowing that they're with a McLaren until someone else comes around or they want to leave. They're in a good spot. And for McLaren, they know they have talent and they will continue to recruit talent. Hence, they got Palou to sign with them and move him away from Chip Ganassi. So, I mentioned this on our last podcast, I'm pretty sure, talking about Palou, because I said there's no way he's going to leave Ganassi. He won a championship with him. Their relationship seems fine. You don't fuck with Happy. So why would Palou go from basically always being a championship contender to a McLaren team that's worse than Ganassi so that he might get a chance to test an F1 car?
Yeah, like Herta's was testing an F1 car and he's still with Andretti, so
yeah, like you don't necessarily have to sign that.
Yep.
But now you want to get Palou into an F1 car this season. Interesting. It was Big McLaren that tweeted it. Also interesting. And in terms of like when you get down to probably the nitty-gritty of all these guys' contracts, there's all sorts of kind of out clauses, performance clauses, yada, yada, yada. And I'm sure when everyone kind of sits down and goes over everything, you're either going to see McLaren buy out Palou, or if these kind of have like an out clause where, yeah, we'll allow you to leave if you're leaving to a different series and for more money, then you might see Ganassi have to give him up if he's going to F1. So it could be also a game that Ganassi is playing by trying to force them to confirm he is going to F1.
And just cause maximum chaos, because that would mean either Lando or Danny Rick is out in F1, and I think we all know which one it would be.
Yeah, I'm giving you that look of like, really,
Yes,
which one's
yes.
out?
Well, and there was the funny thing of McLaren decided to do a random sale of 40% off some of their gear, and a lot of it was Daniel Ricciardo stuff that was getting the full 40% discount. Lando's stuff was like 10.
Weird. It's weird how that would happen immediately when someone else gets signed to the team.
Yeah.
It's almost like they have it in place for him to replace him.
Yep.
And then there was Ricciardo's statement, which came out of nowhere, of him being like, I am committed to McLaren for the rest of this year, and yada yada. It's like,
no, he said next year too, and it's like, buddy, that doesn't matter if they think Palou's
he
better.
said committed to McLaren. He didn't say committed to McLaren in F1. He could be moved, and he could be okay with being moved. We'll see what happens with that. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some shenanigans there. I think this is almost like with the sale, the legalese that's probably in a lot of these contracts. He's gonna end up, I think, in F1. I just don't think McLaren has the balls to announce it yet. Yeah, they're still waiting to see where all the chips fall in regards to all the drivers. And I think the only chance that O'Ward would make it in F1 is if he wins the championship this year. Palou has the
Which
super license,
could-
right? He won it
which
last year.
He could do.
Herta doesn't have it.
Nope. And he probably won't have it by the end of it, but
Yep, he might end up just short. So you're not going to make Herta your go-to guy. So maybe you go with Palou. He's got the license. He's got the pedigree. He's won a championship. He's a top driver. He's young. I think it actually kind of makes sense for McLaren to poach this guy. And for Palou, okay, so I'm at Ganassi. I'm happy. I've won a championship. I'm in the fight for another championship. I can stay here and basically get paid because I think he wants Scott Dixon money. But that might be a bit of a tall ask because Scott Dixon gets Scott Dixon money because he is Scott Dixon.
Yep. We'll talk about more what that means in a little bit.
Yeah. So it is a bit of an ask, but then if, Zach Brown comes in, how would you want F1 instead? That you can make a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
Even if your contract is the same, your publicity and your endorsements and stuff like that, you can make way more. So, Palou to F1 is kind of what I'm saying.
Wouldn't be a surprising thing, I don't think.
You think I'm off base here at all, or do you think it's...
No.
It makes sense, right?
It's possible. There's a lot of signs pointing to it. And to go back to your other point with IndyCar, it's... Why are you making that move if it's a sideways transition?
Yeah.
You want to be moving up, not sideways necessarily. And I don't think moving from Chip Ganassi to McLaren gives him much of a benefit if he stays within the series. So
Palou leaving the series could be the story of the summer for both IndyCar and for F1, because that will cause the domino effect of all domino effects.
Yeah.
Of who goes
Ricardo
where.
out.
All of a sudden, a top Ganassi seat is open.
Yep.
And then you have so many young guys, like maybe a VK or even a Callum Ilott, maybe. Like some of these guys that could get scooped up by Ganassi if he's like, you know what? I want to give these guys a shot.
Yep.
We don't know what Jimmy's going to be doing. If he's just going to be like, I've had my fun, I'm out.
Yeah.
But you could see a really big mix-up.
There's a lot of things hanging on by a thread right now, and all it takes is one tweet to knock everything over.
And then a tweet a couple hours later going against that tweet saying that, no, I did not say that.
Yeah.
And then someone else tweeting something else that completely contradicts the other tweet. And
Yeah. And then a bunch of legal bullshit that no one wants to listen to, so we'll just wait for the Drive to Survive version.
Yeah,
Right?
imagine like the IndyCar version of that right now.
Oh, the IndyCar version would be hilarious, but I really hope they announce it like summer break.
I would not put it past them. That's usually when a lot of driver announcements are made.
Yep. Announce it on summer break, and the back half of Drive to Survive this year will be amazing.
Yeah. And Zach and Chip's phone call is going to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if McLaren is so hell-bent on keeping him, maybe they're going to have to buy him out from Ganassi.
In which case, Chip says, you're going to pay me a lot of money.
You pay this amount, and then I'm sure you'll have some whole this much for this deal, this for this. Like, I'm losing this much in sponsorship revenue because I don't no longer have this guy. I have to do this. So you could see a big check floating, I would say, Ganassi's way. But McLaren may have the money to burn anyway. So don't have that budget cap, or have that budget cap. We got to spend what we had.
Yeah.
If we don't spend the $10 billion this year, then we're not going to get the $10 billion for next year to spend. So you got to find ways to just throw money away.
Exactly. What better way to do it than by signing a top driver?
I mean, winning could be a good thing, but,
Would be.
needing the driver first, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Palou news, silly season has gone into high gear.
Already.
I mean, it is late July, I guess, at this point, right?
Yeah, that's true. Summer break is a lot closer than I think a lot of people think.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks away.
Jesus.
So I think in the next month, we're going to see a lot of movement on this. Oh, and just to add double insult to injury for Palou. One, he had to travel with Ganassi on the team jet to Toronto.
That's awkward.
That had to be a fun flight.
Not at all.
I remember seeing like Palou's story of him like sending us like Instagram story of the plane. I also think Marcus Ericsson did a story of the plane. Can you imagine just like Marcus Ericsson just sitting there twiddling his thumbs as these two just shout across the plane at each other?
Yep.
It's like,
I'm just gonna
why did you
steam
tweet
neutral.
that? Why did you sign with them? What the fuck?
I'm just gonna sit here and stare out the window with my headphones on. Oh boy, look at all the water in Lake Ontario. How nice is that?
Just who? I wonder if I can go to a hockey game. Oh no, Leafs never play past April. Or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know.
May.
Okay, that's the one. Your team sucks.
Yes, thank you. I know.
Just gotta get that dig in. You know that.
Always.
Oh, and then other insult to injury was also the whole YouTube thing for Palou that happened this week.
Oh yeah. Do you want to explain that one? 'Cause I'm not caught
Basically,
up.
it's kind of been like exposed that he bought a YouTube channel so everyone, like almost all of his subscribers, were fake.
Oh, jeez.
Which looks really bad for IndyCar because you have this, I guess, series champion who has a platform, who barely has made any videos on said platform, but also has an enormous amount of followers that are just bots that were purchased for the champion. Now, is that a Palou's team issue, or is that a Ganassi PR issue? Because if I'm learning anything over the last week about Ganassi's PR team, they kind of like to skip some steps, it seems.
Yeah.
So, and also they seem to not be very patient. So maybe they were the ones that did the whole YouTube thing.
Maybe, yeah. They just put a copyright strike out or something.
So who's to say? But yeah, it was not a good week for Palou, and even in the race, his race weekend did not go well. I think he died in practice, died in qualifying.
Yep. Chip had a kill switch on the car.
Yeah, he threatened him with it twice during the weekend, and then allowed him to actually race the race. But he's like, just remember, I can kill you anytime. Well, that sounds terrible.
Just before qualifying, he pulled a Sebulba in the pod racing and just took something and cranked it down on the engine.
I just threw like a bottle of Coke all over the engine.
Yep.
Good luck.
It's lubricant. It's good for the engine.
But yeah, so I think we should then take that segue to the actual race weekend, which finally we got to go to and experience.
3 years later. Finally. All right, do you want to kick it off with your free Fan Friday experience?
Yeah, Fan Friday was fun. Probably, Fan Friday at the Indy is nice because you kind of walk around, do everything. I think some of the other events throughout the year do that as well, where you can just get in for free, walk around, yada yada. So yeah, I sat in, what was it for the practice? Sat in turn 11.
11. Yeah.
Sat there for a practice. That was a fun one to watch them go through there. Yeah, pretty much because you can go wherever, I guess. You don't need a grandstand pass. I just kind of watched from different areas. I think our favorite was the beer garden, but we can talk more about that kind of stuff later, about the actual overall event. So yeah, practice was kind of really uneventful. A couple kisses the wall there. Not a whole lot happened everywhere. So So yeah.
And any racing on the Friday?
We'll talk about that when we talk about the overall event.
Okay.
Right? But this is still about the IndyCar. So for the Saturday, which we both went down to, qualifying was kind of fun.
Yep, we already mentioned Palou just,
Palou
not
died.
having an engine.
But let's talk about the awkward thing with Devlin DiFrancesco put it in the barrier in 3, right in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no yellows in the corner, which I thought was even weird. Like, not even a local yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So
It was very weird because they've had a flag right in that corner because it is a as they mentioned multiple times on the IndyCar radio, which blasts through the PA system. Yeah, Toronto has a lot of blind corners, being a street circuit. So it was a little bit surprising to not have any sort of yellow there. Like, I get they have the dash flash when there's a yellow, but
there's a light before the bridge, but like not even a flag or like any kind of anything of sorts.
Something.
Just the light there. Okay, that's fine.
They'll see it. They'll see it. It's fine.
So yeah,
What are the odds?
they were kind of lackadaisical in that one, and like we've seen yellows for less.
Yep.
Like local yellows for less.
Yep.
Versus
Just
a
something
car
to-
stuffed in the barrier. Guy tries to get it out. Can't find reverse. Takes a second. Takes a second. Takes a second. Red flag. Oh, they finally threw a red flag. No, it's because Palou blew up.
Yep.
I don't want to call. I don't want to call hometown bias, but to me that was hometown bias.
Maybe.
It's not even that good.
Yeah. Well, it also got a little, like, yes, coming down the long straight on Lakeshore, you would be able to see the car the entire way, but I mean, you can see the corner the entire way, and multiple guys prove that sometimes you just overshoot it. And as DiFrancesco was backing up, it was like, probably should have something out in the corner.
Yeah.
Something visual. Like, they did have the
weird.
again, you have the dash warning, but they also had the trackside lights.
Yeah, right before the bridge.
Yeah, the IMSA style lights. So maybe that's all they're using now.
But there wasn't even a local, was the point.
Yeah.
Because if he had a local, he would have lost his time, but he didn't even get a local.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my shenanigans of the weekend, I believe. So yeah, as for the race itself, Steven, do you want to talk about the race?
Sorry, I'm just looking because I want to see. Did he even? Or no, he was Group 2.
He made it to the next
Yeah,
group.
he was second. He was second in the group still. That's funny.
That's why I was stupid.
Oh, that's funny. Anyways, Colton Herta got pole with. Hang on, we got to go back to, and I still don't believe this every time I see it. So it was Herta, Dixon, Newgarden. Okay, no real surprises there. Rossi, yeah, okay. David Malukas.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
5th. That was a shocker. And then Scott McLaughlin, all under a minute, which was good to see. It was a very tight.
Callum Ilott too, another rookie who has never seen the track. There was because that was the thing going into this race is that almost half the field, I think, has never raced Indy cars at this track.
Yeah, Lundgaard was there. Grosjean was there. They were all at the bottom.
You got Malukas, you got McLaughlin, you got Ilott, Lundgaard, Grosjean, DiFrancesco. I don't think I think this is Jack Harvey's first race, is it?
No, I think he's.
Oh, I think he's had him before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he wasn't in that second group.
No. Padua Ward, Renus VK, Jimmy Johnson, Alex Palou, Kellett, Kirkwood. Yeah, quite a lot of guys. This is their first time racing.
Yep.
And they kind of kept it clean. Like,
surprisingly.
For most of the weekend, the guys that had incidents, besides DiFrancesco, who overcooked it, were guys who had raced here. So that could just kind of be a confidence thing of trying to figure out where everything is, where to make a move.
A little more. Yep. But anyways, overall race, I
Yes.
thought pretty good.
Yeah, going
Right?
into the race, I think last week we said, Dixon's always fast. Dixon
Yep.
does well at Toronto. I think I may have said bet on Dixon.
Yep. Did you make money on Dixon?
Oh yeah, I made money on Dixon. Did you make money on
I
Dixon?
made money. I made
Ah.
money on Dixon. Look at that.
Good plus 1,000 odds. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you. Free money.
Herta had a good race, but just didn't have the pace it seemed in that second stint.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the last 20 laps after the cautions, Dixon was just sort of in cruise control.
Yeah.
Right. He wasn't really challenged at any point other than maybe on the restart when Herta that was about as close as Herta got, was being right on his gearbox through 11, and after that Dixon took off.
Yeah, you had your usual 2-stop versus 3-stop, which actually worked out pretty well in the race in terms of you looked like you were going to have, towards the end of the race, unsure who was going to be on the faster stop. You had Renus VK, essentially the leader of that 3-stop group, who was leading and looked like if it went green till the end, he was in a very strong position to win. Again, kind of mentioned something last week about VK. Humble brag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looked like it came down to VK Dixon, probably with about 20 to go. Would you say like the whole last stint on that last restart?
Yeah.
Because it was the restart after the Rossi, Rosenquist incident.
Yeah, that was right around the corner from us.
Yeah,
So,
that was coming out of 3.
yeah.
I saw that as I was looking over my shoulder to watch them go up the hill. And yeah,
Rossi got punted into the wall. Well, not even punted, hip checked into the wall.
yeah. So buddy beside me had the scanner going the whole time, and he said that Rosenquist said on the radio, I can't get by Rossi without hitting him. Or he said,
So
like,
he made a
that's the only-
choice.
so he said he couldn't get by him without doing that. So he made a choice to hit him.
decision.
And the fact that had no penalty actually kind of pisses me off.
Yep. I don't really get that. You want them to be able to race wheel to wheel with a little bit of contact. That was more.
That was putting a guy out.
Yeah. I mean, he literally said it without saying it.
Yeah, but he did say it on the radio too.
Yeah.
So-
If I get past him, I probably have to hit him.
So if I'm in the court of law,
You got past him. So he thinks you hit him.
So if I'm in the court of law and I say, well, if I need the money, I'm gonna have to kill him, and then I just get the money and he dies. You think there's some kind of evidence there of saying like, maybe he had something to do with it or did it on purpose or something?
Might be a little preempted.
Yeah. So I feel like you should be able to penalize a guy for that.
Yeah.
But Rosenquist kind of got away scot-free, which is bullshit in my opinion.
A little bit.
But yeah, I will still never get tired of watching Dixon go around Toronto because he always just looks so smooth.
Yep. I was gonna say we always comment on where the quicker drivers are getting back on the gas in 3, and I don't think he's more than like a couple inches off, if that,
Yeah,
on his release every single time. He nails it every time.
he's consistent.
Just smooth, easy.
So yeah, Dixon nursed it home. It looked like at the end there he almost had a bit of an issue, maybe low on fuel. Herta kind
Maybe
of
a
gained on him, but Dixon won. Herta second. Felix Rosenquist somehow was third. And
Maybe a little undeserving.
yeah. And here's a fun bet I had for the weekend also, Steven. I did the matchups bet, right? I did 4 guys matchup parlay. All four were wrong.
That's impressive.
So I should have gone the opposite. So
Yep.
I'm like, well,
You should have told me, and then I would have gone the opposite, and then we would have each gone 2 and 2.
I'll remember that for next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, the race itself is okay. I feel like you could tell, like, especially in the middle of the pack where a lot of, like, you had O'Ward, Malukas, VK, and Ilott in a pack, and, like, Grosjean, DiFrancesco around there too. They didn't know where to make a move. Right? Like, they were that, do I not? I'm just gonna sit here and wait for someone else to make a mistake.
Yep.
Which you can't really do in Toronto because no one really makes a mistake too much. Usually the mistakes are made when someone is over aggressive.
Yep.
Like at the beginning of the race when Sato gets put into the wall, or when Rossi gets put into the wall, and then you
when
had
Kirkwood tries to try and stuff it up the inside of Johnson.
Nah, you never want to stuff it up the inside of Johnson.
Nope.
But what? Don't shake your head. It was sitting right there. But yeah, like, the mistakes are made because someone does something stupid. But all the guys who are racing here for the first time didn't want to be the guy to do something stupid. They're going to wait for someone else to do it. So, like, yeah, that kind of made the race a little crappy.
Yeah.
Sadly, we can't comment on how it was broadcast in the States because it was Peacock only.
Yep.
So, I from seeing people online, I think they said it was good. So I will.
That's good.
I'll say okay, sure. I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
Be happy with it.
Any
It
other
didn't go-
notes from the actual race?
Could say Palou somehow brought it home 6th after he looked like he was just going to have a disastrous weekend, which sort of he did technically sign. The deal isn't official on where he's going, if he is going, because, there's the whole court thing that'll have to go through. But he talked, it's the movie thing. He talked about his future somewhere and almost had everything get completely screwed up. Outside of qualifying, did okay, but he had, how many laps was it where he had like a rag or something on the front left?
Okay, so it was a brown sweater or something like that, because I saw someone comment on the IndyCar like subreddit. Someone made a post like, "Hey guys, I lost a brown sweater this weekend. Really sentimental to me. Has anyone seen it?" And I thought that was the funniest shit. I'll see if I can find it.
Chip Ganassi was, someone resembling Chip Ganassi was seen running away from the left side of the main straight where he picked it up.
Yeah, lost brown hoodie was someone's post.
Nice.
And yeah, that was really, really funny.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other things we could go through quickly, just again on the first timers, because the top of the grid was a lot of experienced guys.
Yeah,
with Dixon,
but it was
Dixon,
guys
Herta, Rosen.
It's guys you expected to be there too.
Yep.
Herta's the exception, but we know he's also incredibly fast, just incredibly
checkers or wreckers.
Yeah.
Christian Lundgaard bringing home a top 10 was very surprising.
He looked smooth this weekend. He didn't really do a whole lot, but he was like in a good position, I feel, all weekend.
Mm-hmm. Both him and Ilott, I'd say.
Yeah.
Ilott had the one mistake, overcooking it into 3, and even then his recovery was very smooth, getting out of the runoff area and back on track. And he still brought it home 14th, which I think for a first time around a circuit is a very good result. It was him, and just in front of Renus and David Malukas.
Again, VK could have had that win. He really could have. He got screwed over by that late caution, the Kirkwood Johnson incident.
Yep,
that doesn't happen. He may win that race.
Yep.
So, unfortunate for him. Yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the other on-track stuff we saw this weekend?
Yeah, so...
I got
what
to throw
else?
the cats out of the room. They're kind of fighting. Give me a second.
Okay, you
just
have fun.
Stall for time. Stall for time.
Shit. Yeah, no, the rest of the on-track action was pretty good. We were missing a couple events. We didn't have our super trucks as usual, which kind of sucked, and the Indy lights were also not there. But the rest of the on-track racing was pretty good. The USF 2000s were very entertaining, along with the Porsche series.
Porsche series
The
is
s- Yeah, I was gonna say the streetcar series.
good. Should
was
we
okay.
mention what happened to them in their second race?
Which part?
The fact that they
they had a
they-
6-car pileup.
yeah, they raced for 5 minutes, had a 6-car pileup that red flagged the race, and they just never started again.
Yeah, it looked like one person put it in the wall, and everyone tried to do the very polite Canadian thing of, I'm just going to try and squeeze right by you here, and then remembered, oh no, we're American. We're just going to hit you.
Yeah, they
And then just slowly took out everybody.
yeah, they
and
stacked it up
created a wall.
6 cars across, blocked the entire track. Apparently pushed the wall back a foot.
Yep, all 6 guys in the hospital or to the medical tent for a checkout.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
It's a quick part of the track, right? Like it's not like a straight, but it's a very slight bend.
yeah, it was like what, the turn 7 area? So around
Turn
like
7, 8.
yeah. So awkward plays again, blind corner as you said before.
Yeah.
But for most of
And
the
the
weekend,
natural-
racing was very clean around Toronto.
Yeah.
I think
very
it's because
surprising.
people are unfamiliar with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Everyone's playing a little bit easier for the first time. Yeah, because we were sort of sitting there every single time the USF 2000s come out, like, oh, something always happens. I will always look back on our 2015 picture of the one car entering turn 3 backwards.
Yeah, it's
not
not how
the
you wanna do
ideal
that.
way. One guy got launched. I think that was like 2 years later going into
Yep.
turn 3. So it's usually an entertaining time. Not so much this year, but we like to see the action, but it's also okay because that means you can't really get hurt if there's no crashes. So
Yeah. The event
What
as
was
a whole,
your- I was gonna say, what was your favorite series outside of the IndyCar?
probably the Porsches. Porsches were very, very fun. Parker Thompson, who I have a slight man crush on, as the Canadian I want to see get to the top level somewhere. In the first race fucked up.
He wanted it bad in the first race.
In the
and he tried
first
to win
race,
it.
he overcooked it into 3, went right through the corner, was dead last, and then drove his way back to 6. That was a hell of a drive.
Yep.
And then second race, it was him and I can't remember the guy who won both races. They basically battled it out for 1-2.
E-Step. Trenton E-Step or something like that.
I will take your word for it. You know I'm terrible with names anyway, so. You know, that one guy with the hair and the thingy? Exactly.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a fun weekend all around, and for the Honda Indy event that's been gone for 3 years, a lot of people weren't really sure how it was going to go. And I think we were commenting this as we were there. We saw a lot more people, I think, this year than there have been in the years past.
Yep.
Specifically, a lot of younger people, too.
Yeah, it was a much younger crowd than past years, which is great, and it's probably somewhat to do with Drive to Survive. I know I met one of my friends down there, and the whole reason he's gotten into it is because of Drive to Survive, and he's like, well, it's not quite Formula One, but it's racing, and it's not, I don't have to travel anywhere for it. So,
Yeah. It's
and it was Trenton E-Step.
okay. Good job, Stephen. Good job.
I'm shocked that I got that.
Way to go. Yeah, he won both Porsche races, and he was just dominant the whole weekend.
So, but yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say with like this year, lots of general admission into the event, which I think is very good. Get more people just in there.
Yep.
It kind of lacked in terms of interactive stuff to do. And I would say food and drinks, obviously.
Yeah, that
But-
was the one disappointing factor, I think.
Yeah, I can understand people being hesitant to commit, like either a food truck or either like a sponsorship booth or something. be hesitant to commit more resources to this event because it was up in the air for so long. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you had it kind of be at first unsure if it was going to happen because of like COVID and stuff. We weren't sure what restrictions were going to be and yada yada. It turned out it was just like any other year, and it was a blast.
Yeah. Yep. Again, other than a couple extra non-racing activities, like we got to do the tire changing, which was good.
Who won that? Who was fastest for the IndyCar tire change?
I was gonna say for the IndyCar tire change, you were about a second faster. I think I'm on the cumulative time. I won by a fair margin.
Okay, well, let's talk about the specific IndyCar tire one, because I was in the 7 seconds in that one.
You were, I think, a 7.5 ish. I was in like 8 1/4, 8.5 ish, somewhere in there.
I think it was more like I think it was 8-9 actually, but like whatever.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about NASCAR where you were at like 40?
Yeah, 44 seconds for that one. That was a bad one.
Yeah, and I was like 30.
Yeah, I didn't listen to the person explain how the gun worked, and I didn't know what I was doing for the first 10 seconds. So
bless
that's
her,
on
she
me.
tried
That's
her
on
best.
me.
No, but bless her, she tried her best. Probably could have explained it a little bit better, but you missed the very crucial righty tighty lefty loosey part, where it's top button is left, bottom button is right.
See, that part wasn't explained to me.
She explained it pretty well to everybody else.
No, but she said hit this and then hit this, and I'm like, it's the same thing. What's the difference? Because I couldn't explain it pretty well. Okay, fine.
Everyone else seemed all right. I think most people had problems with you hold the button until you see yellow. Oh, I see yellow. It must be out far enough. Pull. Nope. Okay, go around again. Pull. Okay. Nope. Go around again.
Yeah, it was a rough event, that one.
Yeah, but now we know for next year.
Yes, now we do.
And by next year, I mean, we'll probably forget about it in like 2 days, but
100, we always do, and we'll have another competition next year, and the bragging rights will be up for grabs then.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'll take being one and one.
The one complaint I would have this year is, again, like the food and beverage. Food lines were like half an hour, 40 minutes for a food truck.
So hopefully people see the numbers and they'll either get more big name sponsors, like they have Pizza there, and they have a couple booths set up. They have Smokes Poutineery, which is the big poutine company. They have one of those food trucks and a couple other local food trucks. Hopefully there's some other options as well, because even in the little center where the paddock is for the weekend, I think they really only had a pizza stand and one other food.
I think it was an ice cream thing, maybe,
or concession stand. Yeah,
I think it was an ice cream and like a drinks thing. But yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
it needed better food options, because that's the
or
thing,
just
like,
more food options.
We saw more general mission this year than I think any year in the past. But as a result of that, you had, I think, food trucks that would have been good to cover old attendance. But this year you had a lot of general mission. They did really good at kind of creating areas for general mission. Like, they had the food truck place right across from like the pits area where all the food trucks were, and they had a screen there. Great place for general mission people to go. You also had the beer garden, which was another place they had, which was in the 4-5 straightaway. They had a just bar there that just all day served beer.
And on a raised patio, you could just grab a beer, sit down, and they've ripped past you out of 4 into 5. Great spot to watch.
They just needed food there. That was literally it. Just have one food option there, and that would have been golden for people.
Oh, if I'm looking at that, I'm saying I'm marketing that out to every vendor possible next year. Hey, we have a bunch of drunk early 20s kids drinking a lot of alcohol. Do you want to put your food vendor there, or park your truck, put your booth? Do you want to put something next to the drunk 20-year-olds that will be hungry and spend money?
The answer is always yes.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so that's the only complaint I would have on the weekend.
Yeah, but again, I think it's like you said, people were a little more conservative. I think once you see the numbers, and if I'm part of IndyCar's and
I mean,
the
the numbers are apparently it's 50,000 people were there yesterday,
that's great.
which for that event is really good.
Yep. Yep, and I mean, we've always had some crowds on the outside of 3 that stand on Lakeshore and watch in. There was a lot of people just sitting on the hill or stopping by at we have bike rental stations in Toronto, and there's a bike rental station right across the street. And a lot of people were either parking their bikes or picking up a bike and just said, "No, I could stand around for half an hour and watch this." So, I think the Honda Indy team or marketing team will have a lot of work ahead of next year.
So if we're saying 50,000 was the estimated race day attendance, that is really good considering like back in like kart heyday, the average was just north of 60, sometimes 70,000. That's when it was the Molson Indy and there was a lot of hype behind it. 2009 was apparently 15,000. 2011 was 25,000. You know, they don't have true numbers, but yeah, 50,000 for this weekend is a really good number, and I think that's way more than they ever expected. Yeah, hopefully they come back. You know, hopefully all the people that enjoyed it this year try for it next year. And you also have to look at that, like that Molson Indy number with like. I think the highest day attendance, sorry to pull it up there, was 73,628. I think is the highest one there, which is 2001. Okay. Back in those days, though, they had more grandstand.
Yep, they had grandstands all down the lakeshore because that's where me and my dad used to sit when I was little. So
yeah, they had it, I think, like in the back area between like 9 and 8, there was a stand there.
Yep. So maybe they add grandstands. Scott Dixon said it.
He did.
Right? So I think he said like it looks like they need more grandstands. Yeah, that's the quote in the Toronto Star article.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm looking at it, yeah. I think from Friday on, it looked like they needed more grandstands. It shows we should be running more races here in Canada. I miss the days of running here, but and also running in Edmonton and Vancouver.
Ooh, yeah. Tell it like it is, Scott. Thank you. Yeah. Represent us, please.
Yep.
So maybe that's a place to look for in the future. I think an Edmonton race would be fun.
Yep. Well, they did it in 2009. Right? Was the last time?
I can't remember the last Edmonton one. It was
been a while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, maybe it was 2007 before before the merger of Kart IRL.
It's been probably about 15 years or so.
It's been too long.
10 to 15 years, somewhere in there. I mean, Formula E got a race in Vancouver, so maybe you fit something in there.
I'd be here for it.
Yep, there's options.
So final thing, I guess, before we finish up. French Grand Prix this weekend.
I was going to say, before we do that, one thing we completely didn't mention, Scott Dixon tying Mario Andretti for second all time.
Shit. Yeah.
Might want to mention that. 52 wins.
Yeah, he is. Scott Dixon's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He is.
Yep.
The greatest driver, I think, to never get an F1 seat.
You'd have to go back through quite a catalog of drivers, but it wouldn't.
Who's a top driver
that never got an F1 seat at any point?
Name top drivers in general, and they probably got an F1 seat.
Jeez, yeah,
right.
That's gonna be tough.
Mario Andretti got one. Michael Andretti got one.
Got one.
Bobby Rahal got one.
Got one.
I think did he get a race or just a test? Actually, I can't remember. I thought he did a race in F1. I'll double check that. He did. He did 2 races. Ha!
Did Al Unser ever get one?
Junior or senior?
Either.
Al Unser. But I would also...
I was going to say Junior didn't get one.
Yeah, neither did senior. But I would also argue that Dixon's better than them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, you have to look at the times, right? Like, Dixon's doing it when everything's a spec series, not when guys were running like 5-year-old equipment compared to brand new stuff, right? So and also it's a way more competitive series nowadays, I feel, than it was back in like the 80s. So I'll argue that Dixon is the best to never get an F1 seat. I will 100% argue that.
We'll earmark this, and we can go back through and do a detailed dive in the off season and see if there's any other drivers that might be worthy of said title.
Sure.
Can put that in the back. But yeah, so now he's 15 wins away from AJ Foyt's 67.
Yeah.
Can he do that?
I will say yes.
So how old is he now? Because he's almost 40 if he's not already. He's 42.
Yeah,
40,
and
42
in
a
week.
week. I never said he should.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the age where he could, if he said, yeah, I'm done, I want to spend time with the family, it'd be like, yep, okay, that makes sense.
Yep, totally.
So, but hey, maybe he's got the drive to get 67, and then if he's a real man of the people, he'll get 2 more.
That's fair.
Then it's 100%. He will be the greatest if he actually ends with his career with 69 IndyCar wins.
Yeah, that would be pretty hilarious.
Just turns into a meme driver for the last bit.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe he'll get a 500. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, French Grand Prix this weekend. Who do you got? Predictions?
As a French.
Give me a winner. Give me a podium.
Losers are all the fans because the French Grand Prix sucks.
I didn't ask for a loser. I asked for a winner. Come on.
It's probably going to be... I want to say it's Max, but I don't know. The last couple of weeks, it's like his luck's got to run out at some point, right? The engine's got to fail. Something's got to fail. But I'll still go with Max, I think. It's tough to not.
I'm going Perez. I agree. His luck's going to run out.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if him and Leclerc get a little spicy as we start getting into the championship time, you know?
This might be a track to do it.
Yeah.
We've seen, because they battled at Jeddah, right? It's very similar layout.
Yeah.
So
maybe they come together and maybe Sainz blows an engine again and you somehow end up with a Perez and Mercedes 2-3.
Sainz blows an engine or just puts himself in the gravel. It's one of those two.
There's no gravel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, he'll pop an engine again.
He'll put himself in the blue squiggles and get caught up somehow.
So yeah, my prediction will be Perez winning, Russell second, Hamilton third.
Oh, wow. Bold.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Podium for you?
Well, I'll stay tied to Max at first. I'll say Leclerc second, and we'll throw Russell third. Get a nice colorful podium.
Fair enough. Notice I'm getting away from that Aston Martin. Finally.
Yeah. Shocker. It only took you half of the year.
Yeah, I know. No one said I was smart. I guess quick one last thing before we go. I just wanted to kind of mention the LOLs, that is NASCAR, because Christopher Bell won this week.
And that gives us 14 different winners for those keeping track at home. And
I won again. I bettered him again.
Nice.
So I went 2 for 2 this week, so that was nice.
Nice. But, so with 14 different winners, that means there's 2 spots left.
Yep.
Sean, where do you have the standings up?
Yep.
Okay, I was going to say, where do Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney sit? But you already have that answer.
I have bet on Truex to win this weekend. So, yeah, I am betting on guys who haven't won to win.
But for those that are not as aware with the playoffs, well, we've mentioned it multiple times how stupid they are, but refresher, top 16, but winners are guaranteed in that top 16. the last couple spots are decided by points, and as of right now, the two guys sitting on the outside of sitting in those last 2 point spots are third and fourth overall in points.
Yeah,
Explain that one.
Yeah, it's not a good one. If they don't make it,
And-
I think people will be rightfully pissed.
Yep. And also, if you're gonna do this stupid format, sort it out properly when you're showing your projected playoffs. Right now, it shows Truex in 5th and Blaney in 7th. Because that's where they would be projected for their playoff appearance. But you know what? If all of a sudden let's say Kevin Harvick and just one other random name down here, fucking Harrison Burton say, yeah, we're gonna win a race each this year. Guess what? They're out. So you may as well put them in the right spot.
Yeah, and more awkward in terms of the whole playoff thing is you got 6 races to go.
Yep.
You could have more. What, we're at 14 now.
Yeah, 14 winners.
Blaney should win at least one. I think if Blaney does not get a win, I think people should riot. And if he gets knocked out of playoffs, again, Truex should get a win. Kevin Harvick could get a win. Could someone else sneak in a win? Maybe, because the last race is fucking Daytona.
I was gonna say, no one expected Michael McDowell to ever win a race, ever, and he won the biggest one. What stops any of these guys from just being the lucky guy at the end? And again, like
They've set
Cody
themselves up
Ware,
for this.
Cody Ware randomly pulling a win out of his ass.
Okay, that's
Chris
not
Buescher,
ridiculous.
Todd Gilliland. Yeah,
Buescher can make sense. Gilliland, yeah, I think Gilliland could do it. Just get a
he
random.
almost did it this year, didn't he? He was
Exactly.
like top 5.
Bubba Wallace wins because he's good on plate tracks.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a realistic situation where 2 top 5 drivers this year overall don't make it because you got to win to
you
get
win and you don't get in is also a possibility, and I think one that NASCAR is maybe shitting themselves if that happens.
Yep, gone are the days where Kevin Harvick wins 10 races and makes it easy for you, because then there's like 4 playoff spots left for points, and it's like, okay, that's fine.
And another quick thing on championship points and why double points IndyCar is stupid.
No,
Yeah,
that was fun.
Jack Benyon on Twitter tweeted about how without double points finish at the 500, Ericsson and Power would be tied on points now. Dixon would be 3 behind, Palou 9, and Newgarden 11. We would have 11 separating the top 5, but right now it's 44. So, just make points, make them easy. It's not that hard, you know?
Yeah.
Stop gimmicky shit. Motorsports is on the rise. Drop the gimmicks.
Yep.
Let your storytellers in the broadcast and reporter side of it market your sport. Let them do it. Don't do it yourself. Let them.
Yep. And yeah, like especially when, well, one with NASCAR, it's stupid how 2 of the best performers this year are very much at risk to not get in, and also with IndyCar, we're just arbitrarily giving double points for races. Well, it's the biggest event of the year for our sport. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It's partially skill, partially luck. You gotta get lucky to make it across the finish line first. We saw it with Rossi when we went down. He barely limped across the line.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the last race, like if it doesn't matter where the race is held at the, like if you just say Toronto's the last race of the year, okay, Toronto's double points all of a sudden. Okay.
Yeah,
cool,
that was always a stupid thing.
Yep.
But
Marcus
Ericsson.
Ericsson, I was gonna say Marcus Ericsson weighed in on that tweet.
Ericsson tweeted basically like people should stop saying I'm only leading the points because of double points, which he isn't. He's actually having a really good season and has been one of the best drivers for the last year.
Yep.
Like I saw a stat actually. If we're gonna quickly do this before we wrap up, talk Ericsson quickly.
As well.
He's
still one of the, no matter what, he's still one of the top. I mean, he's like, even if you take away the double points, he's still leading. He's tied for the lead instead of leading outright.
Yeah.
It's not like he's all of a sudden dropped from 1st to 15th or something. Well, he is still your leader. He loses 50 points. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because apparently I think it's something like in his first his first one was like 40 races. He was like one of the worst guys, but in his second 40, he's been like one of the best.
Yeah, it's almost like he took time to adjust and then figured it out.
Yeah. So I can't find the exact stat. I have no idea where the hell it was. I did see it,
but no, if
I don't plan for it, whoops, my bad.
Yeah. You know what? It's believable because he wasn't overly impressive, and it was like, okay, so maybe he's just a complete burnout of a driver. Nope.
Yeah.
Won your marquee event and also is leading your championship. Cool.
Yeah, he is coming into his own, and I think will have a very good IndyCar career for Ericsson.
Yep.
And may become the next top guy at Ganassi, depending how everything shakes up.
Yep, you got a 42-year-old and a guy who's already got 1 foot out the door, and Jimmy Johnson.
Who's really just there for fun.
Yep, just because this is what he grew up watching. So
yeah, that's all we got this week. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week, and pull it to F1. Please. I need that to happen.
Do it.
Don't be a coward. Do it. Do it, Zach. Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to Spare Parts. Remember to follow the show on Twitter at sparepartspod and the hosts at Stephen Clary, at Sean Cavarella, and at Tate Moore.